What's good with YouTube? Real Talk with Flacco, coming live and direct. And on this platform, you already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prison, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. Booyah, as you can tell by the thumbnail, we're going to get straight to it, man. This is a very, very important topic that's been going on for years, the last 5 years in the Department of Corrections. You're seeing a surge of violence that continues to escalate, and it's getting worse and worse. And so we're going to tell you guys the perspective of why and what I'm hearing through the rumblings in the grapevine, which is the prison system. Ever since the end to all hostilities occurred, and many of those leaderships from these big traditional criminal organizations have came back out to the main line, the Department of Corrections had one goal: to lock up these people back up in the shoe. They're going to go to extreme measures to do what they need to do, okay? And what you're seeing on these yards is you're seeing a lot of groups that are starting to clean their own house and set the tone and set the standard. When you whack someone on a prison yard, that's to send a message to everybody else, point blank. When you start whacking a couple people, that's another message. And so you're starting to see things that are being staged. We had the incident recently at Salinas Valley. Bulldogs and New Flowers got up with some Norteños, Sureños in some woods. One of the woods got smashed, beat pretty bad, man. There was another incident that happened later on that day. They have the new mandate. They're trying to put bulldogs out there on the main line with Norteños and Sureños, who traditionally they have not been able to walk the yard, that they've kept them separated. Now, then a couple years ago, around 2018-19, they brought their first group of inactives on active yards in the lower level 1-2 yards to see how that was going to work. So now you're hearing the new stuff about the bulldogs. You're hearing about the new S&Y groups that are going to be pushed out there. And the main reason why they're doing this is because they feel the S&Y system has failed. They thought that this was going to bring control, order for the rest of the prison population, but all it's brought is chaos and the birth of numerous groups. Right now in the CDC system, you have the 2-5ers going at it with this Zapatista group, man, who's very treacherous, I've been hearing, man. You got the Nuestra Cosa going at it with other groups as well. Some of them used to be Northern Riders. You're having a whole lot of splitter groups that are starting to uprise, and they're pushing whatever agenda they have. Now they want to put these active S&Y gangs out there with Norteños and Sureños and see what's going to happen. You know, it's gonna basically gonna crack off either way, man. You know, there's new procedures that are being implemented out there. 24 hours if the S&Y target hits the main line, that's an established stronghold for any Norteño or Sureños. But there's also been mandates for people to go out there and start to secretly recruit individuals on the S&Y yards. So this game has totally changed, man. You're seeing things that I would have never thought that are occurring now 20 years ago. Would you tell me that we'd be out there in the yard with the MA, NLR, AB? Would you tell me that some homeboys have gone onto S&Y yards and instead of getting off within 72 hours are trying to recruit those that are worthy? Nah, I would have never thought any of this stuff would happen. Would you tell me that now that these guys are back on the main line, that they're going to integrate these S&Y groups out there with them? These S&Y groups are a little bit different. Some are traditionally have COVID type of style operations and discipline like that of the Norteños or Sureños, and some of them are just straight beasts that are with it, man. They don't need to go through all the security procedure and clearance. They're going to come up with that mental piece and let's get busy. So that's what you're going to see right now. And these killings that have happened in the last week, I say about 3 of them were to set the tone. They're cleaning their yards of any potential trash or threats that they feel that could be an uprise or a conflict in the future. They're ready for whatever comes their way. All these active groups, these S&Y groups, they're ready for whatever comes their way. So it's going to get very violent in the Department of Corrections right now, man. You thought that these last 3 years, preferably the last 2, were a showcase of bloody violence? Wait till you see what happens next. When they start putting all these guys out there in the main line like they say they're going to put them out there, it's going to be get out everywhere. You can't continue to lock people down. And see, this is what they're focusing on, that this yard gets off, this yard gets off, this yard gets off, right? It's going to justify having them locked up. And then they're going to have to find a whole new procedure of how they're going to house everybody. Let's enter the shoe yard. We gave you guys a chance. You guys can't live by the standards we set forth. That's exactly what they're trying to do. You know, the Department of Corrections, they don't care about the safety of any prisoner. They care about the production of what's going to financially benefit them. Their unions have some of the strongest influence in California, period, is the California Peace Officers Association. They put basically a lot of politicians in office, and they play both sides. Whoever they feel is going to win, they're going to funnel more money in that direction. Whoever's going to push their agenda, they're going to funnel money in that agenda, right? So with all these new rules through the Department of Operations manual that is being set in stone, these guards or correctional officers are going to be asked in the future, well, why did you put these guys out there on these yards? Or why did you do this and do that? They're going to sit there and say, well, we knew this wasn't going to work all along. But when there's legislation that's being pushed, when the higher ups say this is what's been mandated, your hands are tied. And that's exactly what happened in Corcoran. They waited for about 4 years till they stopped the integrated yards over there. Till there was numerous deaths. Right? And what was the response of some of these correctional officers? We were only doing our job. This is what the policy says. And see, that's how they spin the narrative. So it's going to be really interesting, man. So that's what's going on, man. You got all these different groups at war. You got them ready to go to different main lines. And there's going to be it's going to be not politics. It's going to be a war zone, straight up. Who's going to make it out in the long term? So now, I don't know about a lot of these SMY groups, right? But I'm pretty sure that if these SMY groups, what I'm hearing is that they're getting at people who are non-associated individuals on the SMY yard. And basically asking them if they step into one of these yards or facilities where the SMY groups have to handle their business, they're trying to deploy their informants out there in the yard to where the exercises are going to be took off on these lines. Very tactical. This is what you're seeing, the art of war. Utilize your resources, cut off their terrain, cut off their resources. You employ certain individuals that you may not align with what they do or their beliefs, but you put that safe blanket around them, it's going to be a lot more lucrative for you and your group later on down the lines. And those are the rumblings I'm hearing, you know, and it's a smart plan. We've all heard about the alleged incident with the Bulldogs getting to a certain yard and allegedly some of them didn't get off the bus. I'm going to say this first and foremost. That could be true, okay? But that does not define the Bulldogs as an overall collective. Because there's been Norteños that have been sent down to Centinela, Calipatria, where the motherfuckers refuse to get off the bus. Truth. That's the truth. But did that define the overall Norteño collective? Hell no, it doesn't. You know, so you got to really take that into consideration, man. All these groups, I don't care, active or inactive side, they're all with it. You know, and it's going to depend upon what situations each group is going to be presented in. You know what I'm saying? Are they going to have, like, say, the active homeboys already there, ready when a busload comes through, ready to take off on them? That can occur. You know? These lines, not only do they have influence on those yards, but each prison, depending on which group is there, they have influence on the correctional officer and staff. That's the truth. They know I'm going to say it, but yeah, there's influence. These groups have influence over a lot of these staff over there, and that's what's going to have a lot to do with what happens in the future, depending on what yard you end up on. They're going to start moving people to different locations. I heard that there's some Sureños over there now, I think in, is it Ironwood or Calipatria? They just sent a busload over there. You know, places where the Norteños traditionally couldn't be, they're starting to put them on those yards. You know, so it's going to get crazy, guys, man. But that, to me, is the basis of what's been going on in the prison system. This is why you're seeing so much violence. In addition, these groups are pretty much trying to suppress anybody else to sit there freelance and independently grow. You know, there's always a control mechanism when it comes to each one of these groups. You know, they're going to exploit you where you can be valuable for them. But as soon as you're no longer valuable and you're only an asset for your personal self, they're going to cut that off real quick. They're going to find a way to get rid of it because you're a problem. You're a detriment on their functions. Anyways, man, this is a real interesting things that are going on. You know, I think my next video is going to be in the future about how does this reintegration affect the other groups, like the blacks, the whites, and the others. Because let's be real, you know, the relationship with the whites and the Southerners is not as traditionally strong as it used to be. Relationships with the Northerners and the African groups are not as strong as they used to be. Every group always operated independently, but in some situations, they can rely upon each other as far as for assistance or influence. You know, that's from my personal experience, man. Everything that I've seen and what occurred when I was in the system was that each group would only value the relationship if it benefited them. And see, that's going to be interesting now that with all these different groups, where do the whites and blacks stand in this? You know, it's going to be straight get-out. It's going to be straight war, guys. You know what I mean? And the administration knows it. That's why they're already putting out mandates and directives and orders, and they're posting all this stuff so the public is aware of what's going on. Therefore, when everything occurs, they can't be blamed. They slide, man. I'm telling you guys. They slide slick and wicked with it, man. Anyways, this is a quick spiel, man. Tonight, we're going to do the raffle real quick, guys. It's a 50-50. It's actually at $255 for the winner. Okay, we have 30